Hey guys, welcome to the channel. Hey, welcome to the channel. Do not mind my hair. Be able to fix it up right now with this shit.
Sometimes become unhappy with the spouse of their parent. But if your mother says that she would prefer,
I never used this before, so let's go. I already got my bowl to mix it up.
being in some nursing facility, there's probably a very good reason for that.
Well, I guess it's mixed up enough. I don't know, it looked kind of sloppy. And I got a big ass head, so I gotta use a lot of this shit, but I ain't got no more, so we gonna see how far we can make this stretch. Now I'm gonna put my hair in 4 sections. I got a diamond in my hair. Now I don't know exactly what this shit is supposed to do. I got some thick ass hair, so I hope it's supposed to bring your curls back, so it says. So I hope this shit works. Oh, this is gonna be so messy. Alright. We'll go by sections. Okay. Alright. We gonna see what it looks like though, but it does look kind of curly. Looking at myself in the mirror. So I finished the bag. I took a break because I'm fucking hungry and my hand hurts. People are talking about them to eat bread back. Me eat bread back. I don't know if you guys can tell by my sucky ass intro, but I'm new to YouTube, and I'm gonna be doing shit about my hair, my makeup, clothes, try on hauls. But I need you guys to comment and tell me what y'all want to see me do. It's itching. I don't know why it's itching.
Ooh, I'm itchy. Itchy, why am I so itchy?
Okay, so back to work. Now, as you can see, I'm just putting my hair in some sections, getting it all wet, combing it out, and then putting that clay mask in there. I don't know if combing it out helps or not, but combing out my hair helps it stretch, and I kind of wanted it stretched, you know, all the way. So that's why I combed it out first. Then I'm gonna just go ahead and do that to the entire section. Small pieces, because my hair was really, really thick. So I had to do small pieces so I could get it everywhere. And I didn't have a lot of clay, so I'm like making it stretch. Fuck. Alright. Now at this point I'm tired as hell. About to go to the other side and be back. And this is the end product. No. And I went ahead and put it on my face because it's for face and hair also, not hair and face also. I need to make a Snapchat. Well, this is how it looks. Wash this out. See how my hair looks afterwards. Oh, it wouldn't stay. Oh, it would stay. Oh no, that one's not staying. One in the back. So this is me rinsing my hair, and it is really, really dry, like so crazy dry. But the curls is popping, and that's what I'm loving about it. My curls is popping.
You're a roughneck. I'm a cutthroat. You're a tough guy. Listen up.
This is me fresh out the shower, and at this point my hair is feeling really, really soft, really nice, really smooth and silky. After I wash my hair with my shampoo and conditioner, this is a lot better. When I first wash out the sleeve, My hair, it feels so dry. And I feel like have a little life, but it's like it's not like super wet. It's like damp, no curls, or barely any curls. Alright, so I want my hair to be down. Why can't my hair be down? Oh, and this is actually a new shampoo and conditioner. And it made my hair so soft and easy to comb out. Like this is easy. This is easy to comb out. I kind of want a product that's not a gel that I can put in the ear and it make it like just the same. But we're gonna use gel. Okay. This gel. Because it smells nice, it's light, I just like it. And this is a deep conditioner, but I'm gonna use it as a leave-in conditioner. This smells good also. I'm a smell fanatic. Everything has to smell good. Alright, let's get some sections. I'm gonna just take out like a little section just to try to see if it like looks decent.
DNA of Eric was found at the scene and he was arrested promptly. He was sentenced to life, but only served 9 years. Some say he got off lightly considering what he did, but then again, he did have some bad experiences himself. This is one very odd story. Kenneth Young is a 15-year-old serving a life sentence, but he didn't take anyone's life. The dealer threatened him into doing an armed robbery with him, otherwise he would harm Kenneth and his family. He complied, but still tried to do some good by stopping the man from taking many people's lives by keeping them and not harm them. But despite all this, he was sentenced to not just 1 but 4 consecutive life sentences. This is of course totally unfair, but it gets worse. The judge who sentenced Kenneth agrees he has been rehabilitated in prison, not that he even needed to be. But despite this, the judge still refuses to release him. Somebody with power should really look into this, as this seems like a massive case of injustice. Next up is Heather Opal. This is another surprising life sentence which will actually make you feel kind of sorry for getting involved. In 1964, Barbara Marie Opal got into an argument with her boss. So like any reasonable person, she paid 4 teenagers, including her 12-year-old daughter Heather, to take her boss's life. She said she would pay them, so they did as she said. They struck him with a knife while they pretended to ask for a job at his school. What's even worse is her boss was very ill. After the hit was carried out, she paid them $100 each. But they were all very quickly captured and sentenced. And despite the fact her mother told her to do it, Heather Opal was still sentenced to life behind bars at the age of 12. Next up is Zachary Neagle. This is one of the most baby-faced criminals you'll ever see. Images of him in an orange jumpsuit with a terrified face went viral as he's so young. So, what did this do? Well, one day he fired a shotgun at his sleeping father.
I mean, it looks cute from here.
This was because his father had been last.
It kind of look cute from a distance.
He had to take some action to protect his siblings. But whatever his motives were, he was sentenced to 27 years in jail for what he did. Some say that's too long, but then again, he did commit a very serious crime. Do you think this is way too harsh, or should this young life taker face the consequences? Next up, we have Antonio Barbone. This criminal kid is very surprising because of who his victim was. When he was just 15, he took his grandmother's life with a hatchet. The judge said he'd never seen anything as bad as what Antonio had done, and thus he was sentenced to life behind bars with a minimum of 40 years. When Antonio was giving his statements, he began to cry. His lawyer then had to take over, but he also began to cry. It turns out Antonio's friend actually talked him into it, and it began as a robbery, but it went way too far, and now Antonio will have to live with the consequences behind bars for a very, very long time. Coming up next is Petri Curti. This is a record-holding criminal kid. He's the youngest person to ever take somebody's life in the UK. However, he did not take the life of another innocent kid like Eric Smith. It was actually a fully grown woman. Petri had a crazy home life, which led him to joining a local gang. They then convinced him to stomp on a woman's face until she passed away. She was so badly bruised up, she could barely be identified. And thanks to this, Petri is now serving life behind bars. Not only that, his accomplice in crime.
Oh my god, it looks so.
Robbery.
I love
These are some
fucking
really wild
that.
kids.
I have such high hopes, so my hair is like stupid. Alright, maybe if I comb it out.
Subscribe to Top 10s.
It's a no for me. Alright, I'm gonna just moisturize my hair then, cause it's like. Okay, I'll be back.
But it went wrong. He almost took the homeowner's life. Now, thankfully the homeowner was okay, but David did try and take the guy's life. He was given a life sentence for this terrible thing, and he freaked out in court. Instead of being the bad boy he portrayed on Instagram, he was a crybaby. And rightly so, I mean, he is getting a life sentence. But his punishment is 100% justified, seeing as he's done some really awful stuff. So now that David is behind bars, the world is hopefully going to be a safer place. But sadly, there's always more convicts, and they're always freaking out in court. So if you want to see 10 more convicts freaking out in court, let me know in the comments, and I will make a part 2.
The haze of the drugs has organized a maturity lifestyle that I had.
The 10 people found not guilty after serving life sentences. Coming in at number 10, we have Lawrence McKinney. Lawrence McKinney is now 60 years old and comes from Memphis, Tennessee. In 1978, he was wrongfully convicted of stealing a lady's TV. According to the prosecution, he also did unspeakable things to the lady. And for this, he was sentenced to 115 years in prison. 15 years for taking the TV and 100 years for the other things. So, he was expected to spend his entire lifetime behind bars. But 31 years later in 2009, new DNA evidence came about. The stunning DNA evidence found Lawrence was not even on the scene. He was released in July of 2009 after 31 years behind bars. And as compensation after he was released, he was given only $75. That's right, they took away 31 years of his life for no reason and then gave him $75 to say sorry. At the time, he said he was happy he was released, but he says he has no life. His entire life was taken away. Now his lawyer is fighting for him to get $1 million compensation. But I think even $1 is not enough for 31 years in prison for no reason. And I can't believe they tried to give him $71 and then told him to just leave after taking away 31 years of his life. This is really one of the most terrible stories I've ever heard. And I hope Lawrence does get a lot more money in the future, but nothing can give him his life back. Next up is Craig Coley. This one took place in California around 40 years ago. In 1978, Craig Coley was accused of taking 2 lives, those being his 24-year-old girlfriend, Wanda Witch, and also Simi Valley, her 4-year-old son. But in 2018, nearly 40 years later, Craig was acquitted. He was freed after it turned out the district attorney at the time cited false evidence. Now, unlike Lawrence McKinney of before, he was given a more decent compensation. He was given $140 for each day he was in prison. But that's still not very good, seeing as he said every day was a living nightmare. Also, he's now 70 years old, and he went in when he was only 30. This means they've pretty much taken his entire life away, and he'll likely spend more of his life behind bars than free. In total, his compensation was around $2 million. But he spent
Wow, the white man,
but
but the black man only gets $75.
He says money nor anything can make up that time lost. And it makes you think how many other people are behind bars for no good reason right now. Next up is Wilbert Jones. Wilbert Jones was sentenced to life in prison in Louisiana in 1971. He apparently kidnapped and did terrible things to a nurse. He was only 19 years old when he was arrested and given life in jail. And the crazy thing is, the only evidence against him was a police lineup. Wilbert was simply picked out of a police lineup by the nurse. But it turns out the nurse was incorrect and Wilbert had nothing to do with it. At the time, she actually told officers the person who did that to her was actually way taller and had a different voice. But the officers did not care and very controversially sent him to life in prison. The case was very controversial by his family, who says he definitely did not do this. And after they partnered up with the New Orleans Innocent Project, he was found not guilty. He hugged his lawyers and cried as he was finally released out of jail after 50 years. He's now 65 and is said to be very frail and aging. The nurse he apparently did this to actually passed away in 2008, and the nurse's late husband actually said that he agrees that Wilbert should have been released. Both the nurse and him did not agree Wilbert really did it, but it seems some corruption was taking place and the police wanted to put Wilbert away forever. Luckily he's out now, but he's already had his entire life taken away. Next up is Kirsten Lobato. On the 8th of July 2001, a girl named Kirsten Lobato, who was only 18, was sentenced to life behind bars. In a Las Vegas, Nevada court, she was sentenced to 100 years in prison. They'd claimed that she'd taken the life of an innocent person. That is because they found a man who was not alive. Days before this, Kristen was jumped by a similar-looking guy at a motel. She was able to defend herself with a knife, and the man ran off. That's the last Kristen saw of it, and she didn't report it to the police. However, she did tell her friends, and one of her friends reported this to the police. They then assumed that the person that she defended herself from was the person who was not alive. And also, because she was not sober at the time, they got her to wrongfully confess to what she did. This was the only evidence against her, and they didn't have any other key evidence. But after she spent 16 years in prison saying she didn't do it, she was finally found not guilty. It turned out that the guy who she defended herself from had come forward, and the person the police found who was not alive was a totally unrelated thing. Kristen simply defended herself and had nothing to do with taking anyone's life. But sadly it was too late. She'd already spent 16 years in jail. The crazy thing is Kristen had an alibi the entire time, but they didn't believe it. Luckily now she's out and is a free woman. And also because she was only 18 by the time she was sent to prison, she has a whole long life to live. She is nearly 40 now, and they did take away a lot of years of her life. But she didn't have it as bad as some other people on this list.
Right.
Nevertheless, imagine how scary it would be at 18 being sentenced to life in prison for something you never did. Next up is Kwame Ajamu. This one took place in Ohio, USA in 1975. When this man was only 29 years old, he was sentenced to life in prison. Apparently he'd taken the life of a salesman, but this was not the case. There was a witness statement saying he was there when it happened, but it turned out to be a lie. He was then convinced to testify, as they said he's going to go to jail forever anyway. He spent a crazy 27 years in prison for doing nothing. Under Ohio law, the wrongfully convicted earned $40,000 per year they were in jail. And seeing as he was behind bars for 27 years.
Well, this is the best. This is as good as it could get. I ran out of jail, so this is the best what the jail could have done. Hey, who's that girl? La 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 la. Okay, well, that's about it. I might post some pictures when my hair is dry. Well, that's it for this video, guys. Hey.
Doja Cat, call me El Gato. I'm the big boss and I got big bread. I'm getting big headed and I like good head.